Hi everyone, I'm Father Scott Vanderveer, and I welcome you here to my rectory. I've never seen you here before. No snooping around now. I actually wanted you to see something important though. This is my prayer space where I spend every morning, every evening, and right before bed with God. I'm really lucky because I live right next door to a beautiful church and I have a key. So you would think that that would be where I would spend all of my prayer time, but actually, I usually only pray in the church about once a day. I find that the best place for me to connect with God is right here in this spot where I start the morning and end the night in God's company. So I wanted to teach you what could possibly be a great method for you to use to turn a corner of your house into a prayer space. It's very, very simple. I would say there's just a few elements that you absolutely need. One of them is you need a little place. In this case, it's a table that I bought in a yard sale years ago. You need an image of some kind. I have this image of Jesus, but you don't need a fancy image like this. I bought this at a monastery, but you could use a Christmas card that you have that you just love. You could stand something up, put it in an easel, whatever is something that helps you connect with God. You could absolutely just place it right in the center. I have a candle, and I think a candle is a very important element. And the last element is a pillow of some sort. Maybe you'd like to sit in a chair, maybe a rocker, but in my case, sitting on the floor on a pillow works for me. So I'd like to take you through and talk about some of the elements that I have and talk about how you could do the exact same thing. I go to the grocery store usually about once a week, and I pick up some of the cheapest flowers that I can. These are from Trader Joe's. They're wax flowers. I think they were $2.99 for a big bunch, but they're purple, which is the color of Lent. So I thought they were perfect. I just cut them. I had enough for another vase too, and so I just put these here. As you can tell, the street I live on is kind of the backdrop, which is just beautiful. This little space just works for me perfectly. When I moved in here, there was a great big desk in this location, but I thought it would be perfect for my prayer space. So I decided to move the desk out of here. You may have something that, is taking up a lot of room in a really prime place in your life, and you might decide that you want to move it for this. This candle is an oil candle, and I love it because I just fill it with lamp oil and it never goes away. I can just keep filling it and filling it and filling it. It also reminds me of going to visit a dear friend in Cape May, New Jersey. That's where I bought it. So it's a nice little connection to relationships and things. I like that every time I pray, and I'll show you how pretty it looks next to the image of Jesus here. The other thing that I often do when I'm praying is I burn incense. Now, I don't get fancy special incense, I just get it at the store, but I find that we Catholics like to have a smell to go along with our prayer. I think a lot of people really love having incense burned at church. So I will tell you that if you're starting off with incense, getting a stick is the easiest kind, and getting frankincense, that's a really Catholic smell. I also have myrrh here. So I usually just light the tip of the incense in the candle, and then I let it just catch a little bit, and then I shake it, and you can see it starts to burn right away. Now there's lots of ways that you can leave incense burning. I found this one is the best for me anyway. This is an old candle that somebody gave me. I burned it down. It actually was here for a while. And then when it became empty, I filled it with playground sand. And that playground sand is the perfect little home for the stick of incense to stick up in. And then I place it right in front of me. And here's what's beautiful. The smoke wafts in front of his face. It actually just creates such an ambiance. I love it. I have some prayer items here, and I can talk to you a little bit about those. And I have my cushion. In my case, this is actually a purchased cushion. It's a yoga cushion called a zafu, and this mat is also used in a lot of things like yoga. It is not needed. You could take a pillow off your bed and just fold it in half, and it helps to actually have it tucked in the further part behind you. That actually angles you so that you pay attention better, you sit up a little straighter. But I find sometimes I'll fold this in half so that I'm sitting just a little bit straighter when I'm sitting here. And then I have some prayer items. Some of them are right in front of you, and some of them are in this basket. So I just keep a basket right nearby, and I keep some things that help me to pray a little more easily. Now take a look here. My rosary. I pray here at 3 o'clock in the afternoons now with the parish. I keep the rosary in a little teacup that a friend bought me in San Francisco. It connects me to her. It's, again, another way to have the prayer be connected to my relationships. I have a lot of things here, a daily Mass devotional. I have prayer cards, which I'll talk to you about in another posting. I think this is a really helpful way to pray for people, and I'll talk to you about that. A couple other assorted things, a book on Psalms, a 12-step page-a-day book from the 12-step group Al-Anon that I love. So I keep those things right there. They're out of the way. I can always turn to them. And then, of course, I keep, as a priest, I pray the Liturgy of the Hours every day. So I keep a little spot for that. And I often have other things here just seasonally. Right now, I've got a picture of Jesus praying in the desert. Feels a lot like quarantine. So when I look at that, it helps me to realize that I am having an experience that the Lord himself had. And that is always the case. That's the thing that we believe with all of our hearts. I have a coin here that says 1 day at a time. I bought this in Albuquerque when I was on retreat, and it was at a cathedral there. I bought 2 of them actually, and I gave the other one to a friend who was going through a really hard time and told him that we could pray with this at the same time. Whenever we prayed, we would know that the other person was also praying with this image. And so it was a great way to connect to him, but also to have that important message. Boy, is that important for us now? 1 day at a time. Perhaps one of the most guiding things for me here is this prayer card. I bought this when I was in Avila in Spain a few years ago. This is the prayer of St. Teresa of Avila, and it guides me all the time, but it has never meant more to me than it means now. This is actually her handwriting. This is what her handwriting looked like, and it says, Nada te turbe, nada te espante, todo le pasa, Dios no se muda. La paciencia todo lo alcanza. Quien a Dios tiene, nada le falta. Solo Dios basta. What it means in English is a message that I want to offer to you from the bottom of my heart, because this is something that God revealed to her as a mystic, and I think it's words that we really need. Let nothing trouble you. Let nothing frighten you. All things are passing. God never changes. Patience will gain you all things. When you have God, you lack nothing. God alone is enough. You know what I've realized though? They always say, God alone is enough. I realize that the solo comes first. Solo Dios basta. Alone, God is enough. Doesn't that have a slightly different sense? When we're alone, God is enough, but also just God and nothing else is enough. And whatever we're lacking right now, we're not lacking God. God is here just as present as God always was, and God will never be any more present than at this moment. This is the full experience of God right here and right now. I get to experience that when I'm here on my prayer area, and I would like to ask you to consider doing the same. I'll tell you that my area looks really nice, but it's made up of hand-me-downs and little things that come from here and there. You can do the exact same thing in your house. If you don't have a little table, this was a $20 yard sale table, but it's a nice one. Maybe you have a box that you could turn upside down and cover with some fabric. You could do that. I would say a Rubbermaid container is something that I've seen a lot of people do. Any kind of fabric you got. My mom gave me this lace doily. It's on my dining room table, but it could just as easily be here. And I think that just having a spot that is yours can be a beautiful way to get through this time. And I guarantee you that once you experience it, you won't want to get rid of it. But I also want to say this. All of these things I can pick up and move in 30 seconds. Maybe you share a house with someone and the space that you have is really limited. I would say no problem at all. This going over to the corner of the room when I'm done praying and then returning to a place for kids to play or for someone to do work or for someone to do their workout, no problem at all. This could be a movable feast of prayer. Let nothing trouble you. Let nothing frighten you. all things are passing, God never changes. Patience will gain us all things. When we have God, we lack nothing. Alone, God is enough. God bless you.